Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Kickster Rankings. So today I'm going to be ranking the 8 Spider-Man films that we have in existence. That is obviously the 3 Tobey Maguire films, the 2 Andrew Garfield ones, and the 3 Tom Holland ones. I think you'll find a few of these rankings will come across as somewhat controversial, but bear with me, I'll do my best to explain them. But yeah, so let's dive in. In 8th place is The Amazing Spider-Man 2, The Rise of Electro. So I would say I dislike more of this movie than I actually like. It's not a terrible film, but it's just not good either. I think it was a misfire in the sense that took the notes from the first Amazing Spider-Man film, which was that essentially there wasn't enough action, and so they said, okay, well, we're going to promise you more action this time around to deliver on what we didn't do in the first one. And they kind of did that, but they dragged out the film really long. It was quite a long film, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, it missed the marks, and they shoehorned in the story with the Green Goblin at the end, even though there isn't a very emotional payoff to that, possibly one of the most emotional moments in any Spider-Man film with the death of Gwen Stacy. But I just feel like it missed the mark both with the Green Goblin's introduction at the end, where he comes to fight Harry, and then also Electro, Jamie Foxx's Electro, I'm not a fan of. I just didn't feel like he was threatening at all. I didn't buy into his villain. Andrew Garfield is great to me. Even Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy is great. They had a great chemistry together. But outside of them two, I just felt like the plot really meandered. They also had the whole twist story with his parents too. So yeah, I felt it missed a lot of the marks that it was trying to go for. And so yeah, I have The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 8th place. In 7th place is Spider-Man Homecoming. So this is obviously the first of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. I like this film, but I had very high expectations of it, and it didn't meet them at all and I was mainly let down by just how jokey and humorous the film was. I mean, yes, some of the jokes definitely land, but at the same time, I felt there was too much of it in the film, that it was taking me out of it and not allowing me to really take the story seriously, which I wanted to do. I want to be able to take superhero films seriously, and I felt it was just taking me out of it at times. But that said, there's some really great moments in this film. I just think of the scene with Tony Stark where he tells him if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. Even the scene, like Michael Keaton as Vulture is fantastic. That whole intense sequence in the car ride, awesome stuff. So there's some really great scenes in this film. It's just, to me, it's let down by the excessive humor at times. But other than that, I think it's a good film. So yeah, in 7th place is Spider-Man Homecoming. In 6th place is The Amazing Spider-Man, so the first Andrew Garfield film. This film obviously comes off the back of the 3 Tobey Maguire films, Spider-Man films, so there was kind of a lot of pressure on this one to kind of justify its existence. So when I first saw it, I kind of didn't like it because I was always comparing it to the Tobey Maguire films, but then with this one, when I came to watch it more times, I started to appreciate it more, and I kind of saw it as more of a traditional sort of comic book film. It kind of felt much more faithful to the comics in terms of the way they characterize his Peter Parker and Spider-Man in it. The way, just even the story with the lizard, it felt very comic booky, and I like that about it. And it is a nice sort of reboot, if you say, origin story almost. It's not as good as the Tobey Maguire ones, but it's still a solid one. But yeah, to me, it's a solid film. I like the action that does take place in it, but as I mentioned before, there wasn't quite enough action in this first film, so that did kind of let it down at times and drag it out a bit. But yeah, other than that, I quite enjoyed the film, but unfortunately it was let down by its sequel. And so yeah, The Amazing Spider-Man in 6th place. In 5th place, and this is going to be the controversial one, but Spider-Man No Way Home. So I know a lot of people would probably have this one much higher on their list, if not at the top. And I'm not going to argue with that, but I have my issues with this film. I have a full video about this, a Let Me Explain video. If you would like to see it, I'm going to have it here as a thumbnail that you can check out. That kind of gives my full breakdown as to why I think it's overrated. But that said, I still want to make this clear. It is a good film. I think it is a very good film. I have issues with it, but I think it's very good. And particularly that final act when you finally have the 3 Spider-Men together is fantastic stuff. I love that. But I just have issues with how I feel the film really stands on the shoulders of giants to do what it does, and doesn't really create its own greatness. It very much draws its greatness from our past nostalgia of other things, and it just kind of masquerades as something original when it's not really at all. So I have issues with the film, but I do definitely like it. And so yeah, I have Spider-Man No Way Home in 5th place. In 4th place, and speaking of another controversial choice, is Spider-Man 3. I know what you're thinking. How the hell am I placing Spider-Man 3 above Spider-Man No Way Home? Well, I think time has been very nice and kind to Spider-Man 3. And speaking of videos I can reference, there's going to be another thumbnail here for my video defending Spider-Man 3 and why I think it's actually a great film. Obviously I haven't mentioned the first two Spider-Man films, which means I don't think it's as great as those two, but I still do believe it is a great film. It has great themes. It has another great story that is like a logical progression off of the first two Tobey Maguire films. And I think, obviously the villain of Sandman, I think is a great villain for the film. The Venom introduction, yes, I can agree it's sort of shoehorned in there, but I would say it's not quite as shoehorned in as the Green Goblin entrance at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think there is much more build-up for Eddie Brock, becoming a villain in that film, antagonizing Peter throughout, and also Peter dealing with his own darkness. It's the next gradual step in his story in this series. In the previous film, obviously, he's battling with just the idea of wanting to be Spider-Man at all. Now he's dealing with his own kind of inner evil, essentially, that's drawn out by the Venom, by the symbiote. And so the action sequences in this film, phenomenal. The battle with Harry, the saving Gwen Stacy from the skyscraper, the end battle, the building with Sandman and Venom, all the action is top notch. I love it. So yeah, Spider-Man 3 to me is a great film, and I have it in 4th place. In 3rd place is Spider-Man Far From Home, so the second Tom Holland film. To me, this is possibly the most underrated Spider-Man film out of all of the films. I think a lot of people might even have this one as their least favorite Tom Holland film. But when I saw this, I was really, really impressed. I loved the story of it. I love, obviously this film came out straight after Avengers Endgame. So obviously the death of Tony Stark there, and now Peter is dealing with the responsibilities of being Spider-Man without having Tony as a mentor. And how does he deal with that? And at the same time, dealing with the responsibility of, being Spider-Man, but also just wanting to be a kid who goes on dates and has friends and all these sorts of things. There's a lot of great themes in this film, and I love how he manages, I guess, the aspect of living up to filling Tony's shoes. That's a whole big theme in this film. They do it really well, and it's just a shame they didn't kind of carry that on in the future films of Spider-Man film or the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. But the action in this film I think is amazing. All the stuff with Mysterio, the whole final battle is fantastic. All of the the vision things that Mysterio does with him to trick his mind, all of that stuff is great. I love that it's an adventure film in the sense that it's they're on an excursion overseas going to all these different European countries, so the setting is amazing too. I love it, and I think Tom Holland knocks it out of the park. His performance in this film, it's fantastic. And yeah, to me, it's the best of the Tom Holland films easily. And so yeah, I have it 3rd on my list of Spider-Man films. So only 2 to go. And if any of you have seen my previous countdown of my favorite superhero films, you will not be surprised to know what comes in 1st place. But in 2nd place is Spider-Man. So this was the superhero film that really kicked off the superhero renaissance in the beginning of the 2000s. Everything we've seen since then, obviously with the X-Men and then the MCU, the DCEU, everything that's come after really hinged on the success of that film. And it was a phenomenal film. What an incredible origin story for a great character. Great acting performances with, obviously, especially Willem Dafoe's The Green Goblin, menacing performance. The action, it took action to a whole new level in terms of what you can do on screen with the CGI on display. The music, the score of the Sam Raimi films are all phenomenal, all done by Danny Elfman, obviously. So much in this film, so much depth, all of the lessons he learns from his Uncle Ben, from his Aunt May, from all the people around him, his relationships with Mary Jane, with Harry, everyone like that. Everyone has a key part to play in that film and really helps influence and shape the man that Peter Parker becomes. And it's just a fantastic origin story, arguably one of the best that we've ever seen for a superhero film. And so yeah, Spider-Man in 2nd place. And so obviously in 1st place is Spider-Man 2. As I've mentioned in a previous rankings of superhero films, this is my favorite superhero film of all time, and I don't think it's even close. The story of this film is simply incredible. Here you have this hero who's just down in his luck with everything. He's adamant on fulfilling his responsibility of being a superhero to the complete detriment of everything else going on in his life. His relationship with his potential girlfriend, his friends, his aunt, his own job, his paying his rent, everything is falling apart around him, but he's just so adamant to continue being Spider-Man and fulfilling his duty, that responsibility that Uncle Ben basically bestowed upon him. So it is phenomenal stuff, and that the whole sequence where he eventually gives up on being Spider-Man is amazing. Just seeing that contrast of what his life is like, letting go of being Spider-Man, how everything else starts to go well around him. Meanwhile, all of the things that he was helping make better in the city is now falling apart again. So it's fantastic stuff. Tobey Maguire, I think, knocks it out of the park in his performance. Alfred Molina is a standout as well as Doc Ock. If it wasn't for his really top-notch performance, I don't know if this film would be heralded as high as it is. But yeah, look, Spider-Man 2 is just everything to love about it. And the action, I mean, it just took it up to another level. That the whole train sequence is one of the best set pieces in any superhero film you'll ever find. And to this day, it still holds up. So I love everything about this film from start to finish. I can't find basically a single flaw with it. I'm sure there is some, but can't find any really that glaring to me. But yeah, so Spider-Man 2 to me is the best Spider-Man film and my personal favorite superhero film of all time. So there you have it, folks. In first place is Spider-Man 2, and that concludes my Spider-Man rankings. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got something out of it and you kind of may have some differences or agreements with me. I'd love to hear your lists in the comment section below. What do you think? Am I completely wrong or completely right about certain choices? I want to hear them all. As I mentioned, those 2 videos that I've done in the past, I'm going to reference here. I'm going to include them as thumbnails once again at this point. But yeah, so definitely check them out if you get the chance, and give you my full breakdown as to what I think about those films. And yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.